Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Today is Monday, July 29th. And I just have to be very honest with you. It's Mental Health Monday. And usually when I take the system apart and come back together, everything goes crazy. Had one mishap today. And when I tell you things sound clear, things look clear, we have the nephew, a good brother, Chris Henson, is going to come in. He's a life coach and very active on social media about a lot of things. And he's going to come in just a couple of seconds and chat with us about men and mental health. Just a very important announcement for those of you that pop in and go and watch the after watch. Come back today. We're serving you some special brew at 12 noon. We have the wonderful, I call her my Congress sister friend. She was a friend and sister and congresswoman after that. But Ayanna Presley is coming in today at 12 noon. And when I tell y'all, Congresswoman Presley has been in the Java Cafe quite a few times. But today, we're going to talk Project 2025, Kamala Harris, and what's going on with the DNC and things like that. And it's definitely going to be fire. So please plan to come back at 12 noon today. Shout out to everybody that's listening on Instagram. I see D, good morning. Stone Lovin', good morning. Somebody said, let's go hubby. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started and talk about his mental health. But let's bring in Coach Chris into the room this morning. He is not a stranger to the Java Cafe, and it's good to see you in the room. This has been a few weeks, couple of months in the making. We formally, I think, met face to face, and forgive memory, but I think it was at TEDx, but seeing you around and just on social media. So I think I can get you. I got you off of mute. So we're good. I think. There we go. Okay, perfect. Chris, what's up, brother?
What's going on, sir? What it do? Man, hello, everybody that's out there, man. What's up, man? Yes, you got it right. It was the TEDx Roxbury, man.
Definitely, man. But it's I see you on social media a lot, talk to you that day, but hearing the non-Boston twang, let's just put it like that, is just very interesting, man. But welcome to the Java Cafe. You're online, you're active, usually on Instagram. So no stranger, but first time, appearing as a guest. And so going to get in your life and your business a little bit. Tell us, first of all, greet the audience, say hello. And because it's Mental Health Monday, what I will do is ask you to end your introduction with one word that describes your mental health right now.
Okay, I love it. So first and foremost, again, good morning, everyone. I'm your good brother, Coach Chris. Originally born and raised in Dallas, Texas, and then I am now 7 years. I am a phenomenal adopted son of Boston, Massachusetts. What I do is, listen, I'm a community influencer for my people out here in the community. I love interacting with the youth, fellowshipping with them. And that's pretty much where my story started. Now transition to, post-pandemic, post-COVID, I saw a need to interact with my brothers. I saw a need to, create safe spaces for men. I seen the challenges that men go through mentally, spiritually, physically. And I'm like, okay, I see a need. Now I need to provide a need for my fellow man. And so I create safe spaces for brothers virtually or in person. I get men together and pretty much we just talk out our differences. We work out, solutions. We work out our problems and come up with solutions. Again, it's just a safe space. I know a lot of men have trouble with seeking out a therapist And so a solution to that issue is, okay, let's provide a safe space where men can just come in and just talk and fellowship. So for the most part, that's pretty much what I do. I just provide, just a positive safe space for men, for youth, and also for the sisters as well, because I believe in community. We can't have one without the other. So in a nutshell, Unc, that's what I got going on. And to describe my mental health is epic right now, man. It's phenomenal, man. So I'm grateful to be on this podcast, grateful to be on this show just to talk about men's mental health and just to discuss, some of the trials and tribulations that I've been through and that got me through, tactics that got me over the hump.
That's very, very real. And I've never had anybody, and it's a good thing. And it speaks to our conditioning and sort of, unfortunately, our societal approach to a deficit model when it comes to mental wellness and addressing mental illness. So to hear you say epic and phenomenal is definitely dope. And so let's go back a little bit because we're both Black men, and presumably there are some commonalities with our experience growing up in this country. And being from Dallas, that Texas is a very interesting, right now, politically speaking. So we're going to leave that alone. But tell us about your journey of getting to this point of being a life coach and you being a Black man that's intentional about focusing on your mental wellness and if and when you have to, addressing issues around mental illness.
In a nutshell, my journey when it came to life coaching is that I went through my own journey personally. And so going through that journey, experiencing things and experiencing, trials and tribulation, experiencing, victories and, building up foundational tactics on how to survive in life, not just survive, but also thrive. I'm like, I could probably do this, and then, hearing other individuals, even back in Texas, all the way up here in Boston, people was like, yo, you should become a life coach. Like, you're very inspirational. Or you a pastor, or you this, or you that. And I'm like, you know what? Never really even thought about that. But I'm like, you know what? Let me go ahead and like toss on that title of life coaching. When it got certified, all of that good stuff right there. But, my journey is, I feel like experience. Although, being certified is extremely important. Not knocking that, but when you go through your own personal journey, suicidal thoughts or depression, Texas, Boston, relocating, that in itself is a challenge. It's a challenge that I'm grateful for. I feel like I'm worthy of that challenge, and I took it on. But it grew your boy up. I came up here when I was 29, 30. And technically that's, on paper, that's considered a grown man. But honestly, I really didn't become a grown man until I reached the age of 31, 32 when I moved to Boston and experienced, just that hardship of relocating, going through depression, going through the issues and finding solutions to combat those issues. So in a nutshell, that's my journey. If I can just sum everything up real quick, becoming a life coach, all of that stemmed from what I just spoke about, starting out as a youth counselor, youth pastor, interacting with the kids, because I think it was Frederick Douglass that said it's easier to build up young men and women. It's easier to build up children and repair broken men. And so I just started out with the kids. I love children. One day I aspire to be a father. But again, once I saw what I saw during the pandemic and after the pandemic, and I see like, this is what's going on with the brothers. Let me step up and, provide, a solution to the men. So life coaching in a nutshell, man, I just want my community to be better. I see what I went through as an individual, and then I see what I can provide for my community to just be better. And I feel like I am a light, I'm a solution. So I'm like, let me toss on a life coaching hat and get out here and put my feet to the ground and just, make my people better.
Man, listen, definitely just one point, not anything serious, but you talk about being a migrant transplant here from Dallas, but I did peep the B hat. So, that's a little bit of an affirmation that you home, we embrace you, brother. You are definitely a light, and see a lot of that shining on social media. There are folks on my good brother, Mark Copeland, is in here, and that is the maestro, and he's speaking well of you. And whomever Stone Loving is Jesus, she is
Oh,
definitely
that's wife. That's wifey right there. Shout out to the missus.
she pumping you up, brother. Let me ask you a question, because you talk about the pandemic. In the midst of that, George Floyd, which was really a representation of decades and centuries to some extent, 13th Amendment, of what Black men are dealing with in this country. There are relationships, there are finances, there are everything that's post-COVID. Where are, from your conversations and your coaching and being one, where are Black men when it comes to mental health? If you had to, after letting us know generally where we are, what are you seeing as the top 3 issues? And you can frame it from a mental health perspective or from, issue-based housing, blah, 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 however you want to frame it. But give us a synopsis of where Black men are and what are the top 3 things with which we're dealing.
Wow, man, that's a loaded question, and I appreciate you for giving me the space to at least insert 3. In 2024, what most men are dealing with is identity crisis. Brothers are lacking, identity in 2024. Listen, when sometimes some brothers, they don't know which direction they need to go in, because if they go in this direction, they're considered sassy. If they go in this direction, they're considered, oh, you're not man enough. They go in this direction, they're considered, oh, you're too manly. So it's a lot of confusion. And brothers see, things taking place on social media. They see things taking place within their own communities. It's like, okay, where do I fit in at, man? So a lot of brothers, they lack identity. Me personally, I would tell cats, block out the noise. Whatever God told you to be, whatever, your family, the morals and the goodness your community placed in you, stand on business. Stand on that right there. If you get too caught off guard, what's taking place on social media, that's going to create the identity crisis, man. If you know who you are, what you stand on, you'll be good. But that's one of the things right there what brothers go through right there is identity crisis. Another one, you mentioned it, the financial piece, man. If men, the way, again, social media is pushing this narrative that you got to be making 6 and 7 figures to be considered high value. I'm like, that's
you
not what
6 or 7 figures just to live in Boston and pay rent. But sorry, go ahead.
No, but facts. I can't even knock that. But the thing with that is that men, they equate their manhood to, finances, man. They feel like, okay, if I'm not making 6 figures, I'm not considered a high value man. Yep. Bro, we got to take it back. High value man is someone who impacts their community. It's not, don't get me wrong, finances is important. Please know that. But the thing is that we put so much emphasis and we make that like the number 1 priority over everything. Look at the P. Diddy situation. But he has billions of dollars. Would you consider him to be a high value man? Absolutely not. And so for brothers, they feel like if they're not making a certain set of money, they have no value in life. And this is where the depression kicks in. This is where the suicide starts to kick in. Finances is another. High value men, listen, it's all about how you can impact your community. It's all about how you love your family, your friends, and stuff like that. It's high value men is about injecting greatness into your people. That's what a high value man is. It's not about how much money you make and the Rolex you got on your arm. None of that. That's dope and all, but that's not what a high value man is. And if I could say another one, what brothers deal with is, man, it's a hot topic, but it's not discussed about enough.
We do this here.
Yeah, man. When men are being harassed, when they're caught up in sexual harassment, or when they're caught up in like verbal harassment, verbal abuse, sexual abuse, that's shone off. There are black men that go through issues. They go through they go through the harassment, man, but it's not talked about. And the reason why it's not talked about, taking it back, if I was to come out and say I was verbally abused by a woman or sexually abused, or something like that, I would be, what you talking about? You ain't you sassy. You this, you that. So brothers hold back because they're afraid to be, I guess you can say, verbally lynched,
Mm.
if I could say that. They're afraid to be, spiritually lynched if they were to come out and say, yo, I was, abused and harassed by a certain individual, even if it was, a male on male interaction or whatever. If someone, abused you as a kid or whatever, brothers are afraid to come out and talk about that because, again, they're going to be, lynched in the open or lynched amongst friends or lynched amongst family. They come out and speak about it, it's like it's going to be shot. It's going to be shot down. Oh, that didn't happen to you. You a man. What you mean? This woman did X, Y, and Z to you. It's like, no, man. We go through these types of things, man. So brothers hold back on talking about being verbally, mentally, spiritually harassed and abused and stuff like
It that is such a loaded topic. I think either we communicated about it, but you may see about a month ago, almost 2 months ago, I did this, what I'm calling the intersection of Jimmy. And one of the things that we named and talked about, and everybody, knows I'm open about my sexuality. And there's been a lot of conversation lately about these sort of 3 tiers of young men, or 3 categories when it comes to sexual abuse, and even how that may play into triggers or trauma when they're being verbally or sexually harassed. And it is sad that men can't talk about that without being ostracized. I remember one time I was on the train standing up, and sister, was standing next to me. Trust and believe, every time the train hit a bump, there was an intentional bump. And I'm standing there and I'm like, first of all, barking up the wrong tree. Second of all, like, sis, but as just a man, I couldn't talk about that. And when men do, they are considered sassy, weak, or what you mean, yo, if that was me, man, I would, if she grabbed her, if she did that, yo, why didn't you? And it is something that I believe men carry from molestation, abuse, and then anything that triggers that, it causes. And you talked about, I like a term you use. Most people will say they'll use the term toxic masculinity. You said they're either not man enough or too manny. And I like that has a different sort of twang to it, I guess. And you tapped into a couple of things and got me here taking notes. And one of the things that stood out as well, at first you said the verbal impact, or the impact of the abuse. And then you talked about the spiritual abuse. And for men, as strong as we present ourselves often, we're very sensitive. The right word, the wrong look, the forgetting of this or whatever, and we implode in some cases. You know what I mean? And we don't want to talk about that. And then I'll just say this, and this is very much in very, standard heterosexual relationships. Women want men to communicate, but then when they do, the women either aren't ready because we carry a lot of stuff, or you're now perceived as, weak. And what do you mean that I hurt you when I said, or when I moved my foot the other night? Like just a little bit of
we can't win. Yeah.
So from that perspective, some would say, okay, Brother Chris, you're not a pessimist. You said your mental health was epic and phenomenal. But generally speaking, for a lot of brothers, not just in what I just talked about, that notion is real. Let's go there. because there's a lot that combat us, and we decisions, choices, we got to talk about the system and everything that contributes, even when we want to do the right thing. What did you mean when you said we can't win?
Man, listen, you broke down a lot of stuff in the last 2 minutes of what you just said, and that when I say we can't win is because when we do express, we're considered weak. If
Yep.
we do communicate, we're considered your tone is off, like you're coming off too strong, or I don't like the way you did X, Y, Z, but I'm like, yo, you want me to communicate, and I am communicating. I can give an example. My wife is on, and I know she don't mind. One of the things that we had to get corrected in our marriage was communication. I'm like, I bet. The thing with men and women is that, yes, there are times when our communications are very different. Sometimes a man's communication isn't going to be too in depth. It's just going to be a straightforward answer. And if my wife was like, yo, do you want to go out of town, or do you want to go for a walk right now? I'm like, no. And it's just that, like, I mean, it's just communication. Now, granted, she probably want me to go in depth, like, why don't you want to go walking? Well, I just got off a 9-hour, 8-hour, 10-hour shift, and I'm exhausted. Granted, I could expound on that, but that's communication right there. Now, any given day with a woman in that particular situation, they're like, okay, he was just straightforward. My feelings are hurt. Look, I'm like, why are your feelings hurt? I communicated. I don't want to go walking. So with men, and a lot of brothers feel this, where it's like we can't win because even when we do things correctly, it's almost like the goalpost is being pushed backwards. And that's the thing. And at the end, that's where I'm coming from right there. With men, we're the same as women. We're humans. We desire the same emotional support. We desire the same, compassion.
Do
Yeah.
we? And
Yeah.
because some go ahead.
No. You good, man. I'm just saying we desire some of the exact same thing. We desire understanding. At the end of the day, understand that in a lot of ways we are the same, but in a lot of ways we're not. So we're not. Please understand that. If a brother say, no, that's just that. What's that saying? We said some odd years back, no means no,
Yeah.
or yes means yes. That's just that. And it's like it's there's no need to follow up on everything else. Is like when we communicate, sometimes it's just straightforward, and it's like, understand that at the end of the day, we don't have to go into the whys and why nots and this and that. It's just a simple no or whatever. So that's that. When I say brothers can't win, it's like when we do things right, it's still not considered good enough. When we do things wrong, of course, we get bashed and lashed at and laughed at when it comes to that. But I'm like, cut us some slack at the end of the day, man. Real talk is like from what I see, this is just me. When I've talked to other brothers, it seems like their goalposts is continual is steady being pushed further and further and further away.
We're getting ready to take a break. I want to check in with you about, that's on the partnership level of communication. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, I want to check in with you about peer communication, because you spoke to creating spaces for brothers and others to come and chat and feel safe. And that, Joey Bennett with Yard Time and what he's doing on Tuesdays. James Mackey and DL were doing some things a few years ago around, I think it was called Black Men Build. There's brother Alex and Jeff Smillian and them with Kings Amongst Kings. Want to have a conversation about the importance of the ability to be vulnerable and communicate with one another, because that first communication you talked about in the right spaces with other brothers, you might be able to get an outlet, some advice, be able to cuss freely, and have that outlet, because maybe some point we'll go into it before we wrap up today, but there is benefit to doing your best to stay mentally well as addressing mental illness, because we sometimes, with life's pressure, you turn that pressure cooker up too much and that thing is likely to explode. And so we'll talk about that maybe on the back end. We're going to take a quick break, folks, and come back with Coach Chris and chat with him about the importance of peer communication and being vulnerable with one another as Black men. Do me a favor, hit the share button. If you're listening on Twitter, Mindful and Melanated, just some comments before we go. We are the same. We're just socialized differently. I love how you said that, as being humans. Wifey said that then they fear being emasculated when, opening and talking about their feelings. So let's take this break and we'll come back with Brother Chris in just a couple of seconds, folks. We'll be right back with you.
I'm a very sensitive person, and I feel the pain of my people. They know me, they call on me, and I assure them that I'm not a provider, but I am one who cares. I always say to them, well, it's better to know than not to know, because if you know, you can do something about it. Think about the loved ones around you. Think about the ones that love seeing you come through that door. Take the step and get tested. That's it.
Save lives and get screened for colon cancer. For more information, visit boston.gov/cancer.
Hey, everybody. Just before we went to break, we covered a few things with Brother Chris, what men are dealing. And one of the major topics that came out from the other side was the fact that in partnerships, communication is key, and also partners allowing men to chat or sometimes be brief and give them space when they are opening up and being vulnerable. And on this end, one of the thoughts that I had to check in with you about, Brother Chris, is how important is it to be vulnerable and men talking to men, being in spaces where brothers can build with one another, challenge one another, hold one another accountable. How important is that communication on a peer level as much as it is in a partnership level?
Is super important, probably just as equally as important as being in a partnership. I feel like men talking amongst men, you can relate, opposed to where there's a woman involved, there's some things she can't relate to. But when it's men around, it's like, okay, I can relate to that because I'm going through the exact same thing. When I host my safe spaces, I love when there's a plethora of brothers coming in, because where I don't have the answer and where I can't relate to, other men can relate to, and they can give the answer. For the most part, a lot of men, we go through the exact same thing. And so when we're amongst each other, it's a safe space. You said it best. You can, let out a cuss word here and there, no judgment. You can talk about, what you went through as a child, no judgment. You can talk about, what's going on your job, no judgment. There ain't going to be another man that's going to call you sassy within that safe space amongst that conversation. It's important because it's a place where you can build up confidence. It's a place where you can be yourself. At the end of the day, I feel like a lot of men just want to be them. They just want to take that, if I can say, they can take that title off. I love being up here in the Boston, Massachusetts area, because this is where it made me who I am to this day. But I enjoy going back home to Texas because I can go back home as little Chris. No titles, no hats, yeah, nothing, man. I could just sit, chill with my mom, eat some good Southern food, come back rejuvenated. With a lot of men is that we wear a lot of titles. We wear a lot of hats. We got to be the husband. We got to be the dope partner. We got to be, the father. We got to be this, Superman throughout the day. But when you get amongst other men to have conversation, that is a place, that is a safe place where you can just let loose and be yourself. No, hiding, no, having to put on the macho man attitude, none of that. So when you get amongst other brothers, that builds up confidence. And then it also, it gives you that opportunity to just woosah, like just let it all out. And for a lot of brothers, that is a place of just rejuvenation, just being amongst men and just getting built up. Nothing wrong with that. I encourage that, especially if you're not someone who, if you're not big on going to go seek out a therapist or whatever, build up your circle, get around a dope circle of men and have conversation. When it comes to therapy, I'm big on it. I love therapy, but a lot of men aren't. But when it comes to therapy, it's talking. And and this is why I love podcasts. This is why I love places like this, because when you talk, that's therapeutic because you're getting it off your chest. You're voicing your concerns, your issues, and then also, when someone's talking back, you're receiving solutions and positivity and goodness, man. So yes, very important, equally or probably even greater for a man to, get amongst brothers and talk and have conversation.
It's interesting. One point there, and then I want to talk to you about something I'm calling the 3 T's that I just thought about while you were talking. Conversations are important. My former professor, and I mentioned this before, and every time I get the chance to say it, I mention it so we can be intentional. Cub Ferguson at UMass talked about this theme of social construction. And in social construction, you and I right now are changing society. Any man that pops in, any auntie, a cousin or whatever that say, hey, go listen to Java with Jimmy. They were talking about men and mental health. When they listen, anything that we talk about today is now further informed by everyone listening. And so when they go into their next conversation, their next action around anything that we talked about, it is now reconstructed and changed. And so these conversations, curating these different spaces of awareness and just having conversations is very, very real. The 3 T's that I wanted to ask you about in the context of being vulnerable in these safe spaces, not just with other brothers and our peers, in the partnerships too, is one of the T words that comes up is trust.
Mm-hmm.
We as Black men, God, may not be the right vernacular, we got trust issues. How did you deal with the other 2 T's that I talked about? And it's not giving space for abusive behavior and true toxic masculinity, but some of that behavior and what some men are acting out of in what's perceived, and sometimes the impact can be toxic for them and others around them, is trauma. And due to some trauma we don't trust, therefore contributes to ongoing perpetuated toxicity. And then because of that, folks get upset or we react, further decreasing our bro. You see where I'm going with those 3 T's? We got to trust. Sometimes if we don't, we can become toxic because of our past traumas that inform our lack of trust. Long dissertation there, but I know you can handle it, Coach.
Yeah, I'm gonna do my best to handle it. So, hearing you break all of that down, what has worked for me and what I've seen what has worked in other spaces, safe spaces for brothers, is just the consistency. Just be consistent. At the end of the day, I know it may be, a popular opinion or, a general statement or whatever, but just be consistent. Men, we're very simple creatures. If we see consistency, day in and day out. If I see a brother that's checking in on me, every other day, hey, how you doing? Do you need something to eat? How's the family? This and that. If I go to a space, if I go to a barbershop, I go to a safe space, a basketball court, or a pool hall, or whatever, and brothers are, just consistent with the love and the support, the check-ins and stuff like that, that's going to draw in, man. That wall, that barrier of trauma, that wall and that barrier of trust issues, that's going to fade away. And that's just human nature, period. If you see consistency, trust issues is going to fade away. So when men see that, they see another brother just being consistent in their support, in their love, in their giving, and their smile and all of that, that's going to wing them in. That's going to pull up, that's going to draw them all in, man. Down south, and they probably set it up here as well, man. When they say, what is it? It's the honey that you can attract more flies with honey.
You get more bees with honey than you do vinegar. I think that's what
there you go. Absolutely, man. Just be kind. I don't want to say the word sweet because, man, it might set some people off. But man, just be kind. Just be kind at the end of the day. And when cats see you being kind, they see you being you. They see you being consistent. That's going to draw them all in.
Let me clarify that, and thank you. That is what brothers want, that consistency, to be able to trust. I want to flip it a little bit and ask, what would you recommend for brothers that don't want to cross the threshold because of past trauma, because they've opened up and trusted before? Partners, women, society, cousins, dudes from the block broke the trust. It puts a lot of responsibility back on that brother, but the benefits outweigh the risk. What's that threshold step that you would suggest to a brother that right now ain't feeling talking to nobody? I'm good. Screw the world. And it's valid. For a lot of brothers.
Absolutely.
What that threshold of doing what you need to do for a better you, what how do they go there? What do they do?
Man, so that's going to be a lot, a lot of self-work.
Yep.
I don't recommend for people to stay in a place of isolation too long, because
we do.
Can't,
sorry.
Yeah, and that can be bad.
Yep.
No, you good. And we do that a lot. But if you're going to go down that path, you got to be spiritually, mentally, and physically disciplined, like to the T. And I would say one thing that has helped me out, I didn't stay in isolation too long, but one thing that has helped me out is that I put myself through hardship. I actually went out and I seeked out things that were difficult that could build me up as an individual. And I think, you can see my medal behind me. Last year, I trained for a race. Never did that. I normally go to the gym, I lift weights, and that's it. But as far as like running long distance, it was never me, ever. And so I wanted to do something that was different. I wanted to do something that would challenge me. I wanted to do something that would build up my spiritual and mental fortitude.
Yep.
And so I put myself through that particular training of hardship to train for this race. And I would recommend that for that particular individual, you got to go out and do something that can build you up. You got to go seek out hardship. Nothing crazy like running out in the middle of 93, when rush hour, doing traffic or nothing like that. When I say hardship, find something that's going to better you as a person, that's going to build up your spiritual, mental fortitude. And then once you accomplish that, once you reach that goal, I guarantee you at the end of the day, you're going to feel better about yourself. You're going to be lighter. You're going to be more polished, more accomplished mentally. You're going to be ready to, go back out here and take on the world. My next follow-up to that, and that's a great question. My next follow-up to that is like, after you, accomplish that hardship, whatever it may be, it don't have to be running, but find your hardship. I would say, wow, kind of got I'm not stuck. I would say after the hardship, I would say for this particular man, just continue to do the inner work. You got to continue to do that.
Because we in this space, we buzzwords and we know, but for some, Excuse me for 1 second. Alexa, cancel. Jesus Lord.
You good, man.
Okay.
Man,
What does inner work look like?
I would say that I was going to follow up. The inner work is like find you a hobby, find you a positive hobby. For me, I like art. I would say, I mean, if you can find you a hobby that can not only, bring out creativity, but also make you some money, that'd be phenomenal. Because in doing so, you, without even thinking about it, you're going to end up interacting with people. I like photography. I'm a photographer on the side. That was my outlet. That's my hobby right there. That's my positive hobby right there. Not only does it make me money, but it also put me in spaces where I'm actually interacting with people. It might sound foolish to some people, but these tactics, they actually work because you're going to be in the midst of people. So you're not going to you're going to be forced to interact. And so that's what's going to bring down that trust issues and that I guess you can say that wall of that hardship of trauma. All of that's going to come down and you're going to say, you know what? I guarantee you're going to come across more dope people than bad people. And so in the midst of that, you're going to see like, yo, it's actually some good people out here. And lastly, fix your perspective on life. And I feel like when you go through that hardship of training, doing that hardship of doing something that challenges you, and then finding those positive hobbies, it's gonna twist your perspective on life. At the end of the day, that's where it all starts. Our perspective, the way we get up every single day, and the first thought that crosses our mind, if it's negative, I guarantee you're going to have a negative day.
Sets the tone.
If you get up with a perspective of positivity, you get up with a perspective of hope, love, joy, peace, you want to experience that all day long because that's your sight. That's what you see. But if you're so focused and fixed on trauma, you focus and fixed on negativity, I guarantee you within that 12, 18, 24 hours, that's all you're going to see and that's all you're going to experience. So hardship, finding a positive hobby, and then fixing your perspective, man. These things actually work.
And it's not easy. And I wanted you to speak to that for somebody that may watch the after watch or brothers that sneak in and see, what were they talking about with men and mental health today? Because it is so important that we center our wellness. And I know that when there is intentionality, and I love what you talked about, if you're going to isolate, not your exact words verbatim, but isolate with intentional preparation. Uncle Thaddeus, who, we talk about a lot, he posted yesterday, a couple of weeks, no DMs, no texts, nothing. He's chilling. But I know him and I know, he mentioned the journey he was on. He had this journal, he had an advisory group. They were challenging him and he was in a period of isolation, but it was with intention. And that's the thing that I think is important because we do as men, we get in our head. And if our perspective is off, if anything that puts us in our head is a trigger, we go back, all that other stuff comes up. And really, the dynamics had nothing to do with the old thing, but that one little thing that reminded us, it takes us to what you kind of described as a sunken place. And it is real. We've been pushed down and in that sunken place by life's issues, and they're real. The challenge for us, and I challenge any brother that watches this later or watching now, is to know, I'll let you speak to this as we get ready to wrap up. Affirm the brothers, talk to our worth and value to ourselves, to our families and partners, and to the community, and to upcoming national elections. But go ahead, brother Chris.
Man, listen, you took the words right out of my mouth because I'm a fan of the deep breathing, but I tell people all the time, like when it comes to mental wellness and mental health, it's a psychological warfare. It's a psychological thing. And so when it comes to, taking on the psychological, the mental, it's like, man, you got to be kind to yourself. You got to speak good to yourself. You got to dive deep into who you are as a person. You got to speak to this up here. You got to speak to this in here. Speak to yourself Great. Speak to yourself with affirmations of love and joy and peace and goodness, man. Have desires, have goals, and set them. Now, I'm here to tell you it's okay to be selfish with you because you got to have an identity outside of family, which is phenomenal. You got to have an identity outside of the 9 to 5s and careers, which is phenomenal. You got to have an identity at the end of the day. And a person that has identity, they can go a very, very long way. And so, in going a very, very long way, you got to speak good to yourself. When you wake up every single day, man, look that person in the mirror and speak well of him. Speak well of her. For the sisters that are on, you doing your thing. Speak well of yourself at the end of the day. Affirming. I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth. When it comes to mental health, you got to affirm yourself on every single day in and day out. That's what helps me a lot, by affirming myself, by seeing myself as this wonderful man. Instead of seeing myself as a inferior individual, I could see myself as someone of faith, someone of hope, someone of peace, someone of joy, someone who can come in and like bring change. Affirm yourself every single day as an individual, man. Be selfish with yourself. I know that's a word that people don't like to use. So you gotta have it. I love my family. I adore them. I would give my life for them. But it's identity outside of that. Keep it balanced with your community, all of that good stuff. But you gotta have identity. Who are you at the end of the day? And the way that you speak to yourself at the end of the day, that's who you are. So that's my spiel right there. Just be kind to yourself. Speak good of yourself, and you're gonna end up becoming that person.
Brother Chris, this was amazing. Timing is everything, and I think it's important. In the time that we're in, there was a lot of action around the fact when Kamala announced that she was running. And there's a whole lot of chatter on social media about black men protecting black women and a whole lot of other stuff. But I loved how we got together and being on that call the other night with over 20,000 men, black men from across the country, beyond the politics. I was like, I'm inspired. I'm about to get up and conquer the world.
You should be.
The other thing that's interesting about that is, and it kind of speaks to our worth and value, we are the number one targeted population that they are sending out misinformation to about her, her history, aging, prosecuting, and numbers. And I even saw something the other day which they said she locked up 2,000 men and then killed 2 of them. I'm like, come on, y'all. That talks about, if never before, we've become an important voting bloc in this election. We always should be. I'm not going to get too far into that, but that's just another affirmation in this present time around our value and importance. You know what I mean? And it so much that you said today, it is, I'm going to walk away with what we used to call nuggets. You know what I mean? Just encouragement and whatnot. But I want folks to be able to follow you if they want to reach out and sign up for life coaching or anything like that. I know you're primarily on IG. Remind me of I could look it up here, but I don't want to mess nothing up and go into
you the man. You the man. Absolutely, man. On Instagram, lifecoach_Chris. And then on Facebook, look me up under Christopher Henson. My face will pop up. I do got something hot dropping for the city in Boston coming this fall. I would drop the website where everything is there, but the stuff is under construction right now. But I got some dope stuff coming.
Christopher.
Christopher Henson on Facebook, and then on IG, lifecoach_Chris.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
Got both of those, I believe. Let me know if I got those right. IG
yes, sir.
_Chris on Facebook, Christopher Henson. So you can go both places and follow him, stay up to date, get some daily inspiration, some opinion, some commentary about some things. And so any parting advice, closing words, Brother Chris?
Man, listen, in the famous words of Uncle Luke, don't stop, get it, man. Y'all make sure y'all get out here and just
That was
Keep going, man. But that's the saying though, right there. Because listen, one thing about just about us, you listen, man. If you stop, that's when you become defeated.
Yeah.
But if you just keep going, yeah, man. If you just keep going, and keep going, that's the thing with not to take too long, man. But this is the thing when it comes to failure. And I posted it on my Facebook page the other day and IG. Failure is a virtue. And the thing with a lot of people is they don't view it that way. They view failure. If they experience failure 1, 2, or 3 times, they just stop, and then they're defeated. Failure is nothing but a virtue, man. Kobe experienced failure. He's a champion. It's a stepping stone. That's all it is for us, man. So when I say, in the famous words of Uncle Luke, don't stop, get it. Don't stop, keep getting it, man. And so you will experience that success, that beautiful family, the home, the car, whatever you desire. Don't give up on that dream. Don't give up on that goal. If you encounter failure once or twice, be thankful for that, man. Handle that. That's a beautiful thing right there, because that's a virtue. Now you can grow and learn from that experience, man. So that's it, man. I love it.
I often tell people, what they see is this wonderful Jimmy now. Oh no, it comes from years of making huge mistakes and literally falling flat on my face. Just a comment from Miss Teresa here. Never heard Uncle Luke get quoted or get quotes in a life coaching session. So that listen, I love it, bro. That's easy.
'Cause I'm real, man.
Don't stop. Get it. Here's another life coach. Keep doing what you're doing with passion and excellence. Appreciate you. God bless you, Michelle. I know I owe you a text and an email. And folks are over here going in about Chris Henson is a good friend and life coach, and DJ Droopy 037 is in the building and whatnot. So shout out to the over 30 folks that's over watching on Twitter. Comment, reply, and let us know that you're there. But brother Chris, thank you. I appreciate you. Shout out to the wife for the support and everybody listening over on Instagram as well. And I will definitely be in touch, sir, and see you in community soon.
You already know it, Unc. Stay up, sir. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, man. Listen, folks, if you did not walk away with some level of inspiration today, whether a man or woman, and you see, he kept referring to youth pastor. You see, he got that little anointment on him. And so definitely good to have him in the room. And that is right. Evan's daughter, never stop and keep going. So Miss T, I love my shirt too. Shout out to Miss Teresa. Always keeping it matches up quite well. But Miss Teresa, my personal branding, I don't know what you want to call it, person. And keep Miss Teresa in your prayers, and her family. A close friend of the family passed away, and they are in the midst of the services and whatnot and travel. So keep her in prayer, Angel, and the double E's as well. I think that is it for me today in this morning, but please do not forget, I need y'all to come back in the room today at 12 o'clock. Congresswoman, sister, friend, Ayanna Pressley is coming in at 12 noon to talk about Project 2025 and Kamala Harris. Congresswoman has been in this space plenty of times before, but let me tell y'all this. The fire that's coming today, I think Anissa put a fireside chat. We're not sitting next to each other physically. Oh boy, but there's going to be some fire as we chat. So make sure you come back today at 12 noon, especially for all of our wonderful political folks over on Twitter, Boston Poly, Mass Poly, National Poly, hashtag Harris 2024, all that. Please come back today at 12 noon. Also on tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., we get to speak with our good brother Neil. He is a DJ, producer, radio personality, and founding member of Team Jerk. Also a former high school colleague, and he and brother Val from New England Sound, a DJ, they're planning an event on September 8th. We all know what that wonderful holiday is. They're planning an event, and not just the event, but we got to chat with them, the full team. My intern and I got to chat with them the other day, and they're really looking at the elements of hip hop beyond the event and ways to incorporate hip hop culture. And we used to hear about this a lot, and it's active right now, evolutions of it. It's evolved, and Some cases changed and not all for the better. But he's coming in tomorrow morning to talk about what they're doing in that event. Also, on Wednesday morning, as we are closing out Mental Health Awareness Month, BIPOC Mental Health, BIPOC Men's Mental Health, I believe, Awareness Month, we have the honor of speaking with this good brother, Kevin M. Simone is the proper way to pronounce it. He is the first inaugural chief of behavioral health for the city of Boston. He'll be with us. You do not want to miss this session also. And I am excited and elated to have coming into the room also on Thursday morning, this great queen. We currently, that I know of, have two Black women who are presidents of colleges here in Boston, one at Boston University and also two over at Simmons University. And so our wonderful first president of Simmons University is going to come in and chat with us about her vision and so much that she's doing around diversity and inclusion. And so she's coming to chat with us and close us out for this week on Thursday. So we have a great lineup for you this week for the Java Cafe menu. Make sure you come back today at 12 noon and join us with Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley. Come back also tomorrow morning as we talk with Neil Poole from Team Jerk. And also on Wednesday, Dr. Kevin Simone. And also on Thursday, we'll chat with Lynn Perry Wooten, president of Simmons College, the first African-American woman to be president of the college. We're going to get ready to wrap up UCB. Y'all got 90 minutes today because it's 10:02. Just to check back some of the comments. Sharon Cornelius, good morning. Good to see you in the room. Yeah, Sharon, he a little preacher. When I seen Mark comment, I said, okay, they probably know each other from Kojic or something. I'm messing. I think that is it for me. Natasha, good to see you. Sister Soraya, good to see you. Michelle, good to see you. Miss T, Belinda. I think I got everybody. My brother Ian was in the room from Loud Minds. I didn't see Mama Java. Oh, there she go. Mama Java is in the room this morning as well. Shout out to everybody that's still listening over on Twitter. I need to figure out a way of y'all comment or something so I can know that you were there. Vaughn, good to see you in the room, brother. And that's it for me this morning. We will see you guys 12 noon today with Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley at 12 noon. We're going to talk about Project 2025 and also how we ensure that is not implemented by electing the first Black woman to run, not the first Black woman in our generation to run for president. Shirley Chisholm was the first, but Kamala in 2024. Oh, shout out to the Black women that set the stage and did the first rally online and raised over $2 million for Kamala Harris. Then after that, the Black men got in line. Then after that, I think what I know also happened with Black men, the gay community, gay men, I think gay Black men, they had a call. White women had a call the other night. And on tonight, white dudes for Kamala is happening. I saw that tweet. I said, huh? White dudes for Kamala is happening tonight. So far, she's raised over $200 million. A huge Latino voter registration that has went in. Don't believe this misnomer of a lot of most of the Latin community is with Kamala. Some of them are. But from what I saw yesterday, and the registration is going on in key battle states. And then there was a poll that was released the other day, and Kamala done not got close, but topped. I think it was 5 to 6%. I don't know where the graphic is. I seen it on Twitter. That poll from July 22nd to 24th. So, and let me keep saying this. Vote, vote, vote. I know it's not even August yet. It's still July. Vote, 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 vote. You schedule your hair appointment. You schedule your lineup. You schedule your nails. You schedule your doctor's appointment. You schedule all that other stuff. Look in the calendar on that date. I believe it's November 5th. And make sure you make a plan to vote. Vote, 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 vote. And it's important that as long as you vote, most of the people that are in here know where I am. And I think most of y'all are with me. So we know who we're voting for. And down ballot too. We'll talk more about it at 12 noon today with our Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley. Everybody have a great first part of your morning, and we will see you at 12 noon today with Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley.